Hello everyone. Hello zusammen. This is the Hi-Fi Clinic. We're going to be doing restoration of a European stereo with speakers over in our annexed office of Cologne, Germany. There you can see the dome looking beautiful as always after hundreds and hundreds of years. So we're going to be working on these speakers first. Basically just want to sand them down. We want to sand them down and we're going to stain them. So there's a light gloss finish on there. You can see that it's been chewed away over many years. I'm guessing these are probably from the 70s. Got this old grill cloth on here with this kind of bamboo veneer and a helicopter above us watching everything that's going on. But we're going to sand it down. Not sure what we're going to do with the front yet. We're going to definitely leave that as it is and either paint it or probably paint it, this center part, and then maybe give the edges a little bit of a different color. Or, I don't know. We'll consult with our fashion designer and see what she has to say. As you can see, there's kind of a nice healthy scratch on there. Hopefully that'll come out with some sanding, a little elbow grease. Here we go, box 270 Hi-Fi. Yeah, here we go. This one's better. It's actually upright. All right. Okay, we're back. And what I've done is I have sanded down the first one, as you can see, side-by-side comparison. Right, this one has the finish on it. It has the stain still on there. I took obviously the front off of this one and then went to town and really sanded it. So I used 60 grit sandpaper. That's actually, unfortunately, the most that I had right here with me. Actually, no, sorry, this looks like 140 grit. Thought I had used some 60 grit earlier. And then 220. And so, you know, the trick of this is basically to make sure that you sand it well enough that, you know, like at the beginning here, you can see I'm putting some scratches into it, right? That's just the sandpaper pulling off the top layer. So on this first layer, what I do, since the sandpaper is brand new, I just go kind of lightly to start smoothing down the sandpaper. And then over time, I'll put a little more pressure on it. And then when I get most of the finish off, then I switch over to the 220. And then that's when I can get these scratches out. Right, so you can see here, like if I just clean that up, you can see there's some scratches here. And so you don't want that in, but the lighter sandpaper will take that out. All right, so I'm going to get going on the next one here, and we'll be back. Bam, what? Okay, and we're back. Everything's been sanded. You can see that here's the speakers. All in good condition. What I ended up doing to finish them off is, since I don't have tack cloth here, I took some paper towels, wet them, and wiped them down, and that gets most of the dust off of them so that the stain can really take hold very nicely in there. This is the Disassembled Stereo. You can see that I just had to do this little edge here on the main part, and then this is the main body. This is the main body, so taking care of that. The part that really took the longest was this front part, because it has all of these kind of intricate design. So it's really hard. That took the longest. I think each speaker took maybe an hour, maybe a little less. This part took about an hour and a half, I would say. And then the bottom here was maybe 20 minutes, just a few straight lines. So we're gonna move on to the staining part, but before we do that, we wanna take a little break and thank our sponsor, Anya Imbis, the Falafel Nazi. When you're in Cologne and you're looking for a great falafel, or I actually prefer the Shawarma Grossa, stop by the Falafel Nazi weekdays and you'll get quite the entertainment during lunchtime. In the evening, not so much, but still very good food. But I highly recommend the Falafel Nazi, Anya Imbis on Gerionstrasse. Okay, so now we're gonna get back to the next step here, which is the stain. So I've got my Holzbeize Nussbaum Dunkel, that's a walnut, dark walnut. So you can see right there, there's the color. Got my brush, and I'm going to apply fairly liberally and then wipe it off after a few minutes. So I will take care of that and show you the results. All right, so here's what it looks like after a coat. And again, I just put it on, wiped it down, so it's wet. But what you can see, if you look closely, I don't know if you can see it in this, is that there's kind of some spots on there. Let's see if maybe this is better for me to see it. In the gaps there, I think you can see it now much better. It's a little bit of white, or let's say unstained part. And that's because there was a stain applied to it. Some of the polyurethane went into the cracks, and there's only so deep that you can actually sand it down before you get to beyond the veneer, which would not be good. So that's kind of the downside, but I think it'll still look fine when it's done, because when it's done, it'll have some polyurethane on the top. It'll clean up, it'll look basically natural. So let's see how it goes. I'm just gonna finish up everything else and then come back. All right, so I've let them dry. I've let everything dry for a good, I would say, hour and a half. The container says 2 to 6 hours, but as you can tell, it's windy and it's actually quite dry today here in Cologne, so and sunny. So the stuff is quite dry, and I'm just gonna start at the beginning, part that I stained first. And we're gonna go and use our Holzziegel. Let's turn it this way so we can see it. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna use. And it's a matte finish, as you can tell. Not just because it has Matt's name on there, but because it's M-A-T-T-E in English. Okay, look at that shine. The reflection. Just finished putting on the gloss, or let's say the polyurethane, and it looks good. I mean, you can tell on this one, maybe not in the video quite as much, I can see it, that there's some spots. These are really tough to refinish when there's that much curvature that you've got to sand. So it's not the best work in the world, but these guys, they actually look quite good, I would say. So, but again, easy to do straight lines, or easier. And then of course down here on the edge, got that done too. So now we're gonna let this sit overnight. Actually, all that polyurethane took me about maybe 20 minutes. It's not very, no, the hard work's in the prep. It's all about the prep, but color looks pretty good. I was afraid it was a little bit too red, but it seems now with the polyurethane on it and everything kind of drying, perhaps I could have done a second coat that might have given it a darker look, but these are totally fine. All right, and now we wait until tomorrow. Okay, and got everything back together right now. I haven't actually stapled everything or screwed everything together yet, But just put it all together to do last finish testing before everything's done, and it looks pretty good. I have to say, quite pleased with it. Here are the speakers. Here's one of them. Let's get this working. The front is still off because I have some work to do on that, but you can tell the speakers look very good. Let's show this bad dog up here. Give that a little love. Bam, what? There it goes. Boom. And then here's the other speaker down here. So looking pretty good. Happy with how it turned out. Still have a little more work to do, but overall much improved. Okay, so we are working on the faces of the speakers today. You can see, you can see that on the left side here, we're working on the speakers today. This one was the original, and here's what I've already been sanding. And you can just see how it very quickly is cleaning off the wood. This is not going to be veneer because it's too decorative, so we're not too worried about going too deep on that. We're using the profile sander here, which has a lot of cool attachments, allows you to get these curves and in the grooves there really nicely. And what I'm going to do is also then replace the bamboo backing here with a nice silver piece that I'll show you in a little while. But because this is not veneer, I'm going to have to be a little more careful with how I stain it so that we get nice evenness compared to the veneer wood speaker itself. The next step of the process is that I took so I'm currently finishing the frames, right? Staining the frames. So I took off the frame from here so I could replace the bamboo. As you can see, it's just kind of old and dated, very 70s style. So I had to pull up a bunch of these staples in order to get the bamboo out. And then I wanted to replace it. So this is how I'm essentially modernizing or putting a new face on the screen itself. Is I'm leaving the screen as it is. I'm gonna pull all these staples out because then I put a new piece on. As you can see, I've already set it in there and stapled it in a few spots so that when I put the frame back on, when it's completed, this will look completely brand new and it'll look great. I went and bought this on, I think it was Amazon or maybe a third-party website. You can get it for relatively cheap, $20 to $25 for a 1 square yard or 1 square meter size, but pick any type you want and it's up to you how you want it to look. So I'm pretty happy with this one. It'll look really nice with the dark, modern walnut stain that I'm putting on the speaker itself. All right, and now we have the final picture put together with the speakers and the stereo. There you can see those fancy new covers on them. They look pretty sharp, I must say. Pretty sharp, huh? And then there's the stereo. And so there you have it. Another successful project in staining and refinishing a vintage stereo from the 70s with speakers. Lots of fun, and I could probably sell that for €100. What do you think? Maybe a little more. Thanks for watching the Hi-Fi Clinic, where we turn dreams into memories.